Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Club. So happy to have you with me this evening. A little bit past 9 p.m. on the East Coast, but it's Monday, so don't be mad at me. I do stay up later on Monday, even though I am an old man. I will stay up past 9 p.m. on the East Coast. Once in a while, I'll do it. And for you guys, that's a Monday evening. I want to talk today about something that I think is very interesting. It is what is happening right now in politics. What's happening today, now, this year, last couple of years, and we'll see for the future in politics with both independent parties, Republican parties, men and women, things that are changing here. And I brought together today an amazing and awesome, star-studded group of people that are going to give us a whole bunch of, I hope, very cool things. A very savvy political consultant, a woman who really has been paying attention here, who's going to give us tons of insight. And now she doesn't. I have embarrassed her. Scottie, how are you? Scottie Nell Hughes, how are you doing?
I am doing it fabulous. I mean, considering this is the election season that has never ended, Larry. We have been campaigning, I think, since 2015, and it has never stopped. But now you add in the element of, do we have a fit president who's now been labeled mentally incapacitated to run for office as an old man, and the news cycle completely changes once again.
Well, yeah, now we got to do something else now. We got to keep football or something, I guess. Of course we do. Yes, 100%. Yes. Also, coming to me, someone who has done such a challenging thing. She ran for city council in New York City as Republican in a deeply blue district, but she hustled and did her best. The one and only Daniella May. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. So glad you came this evening. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is great.
And the returning champion. Sarah has been here before. We've chatted before. She has flirted with all of the parties. And because everybody wants her, she's so popular. All the parties want her. She can pick and choose whatever she wants. The one and only Sarah Stogner. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Awesome. So let me ask the important question, if I could. We are all sitting here right now looking at exactly what Scottie said. This is a time when we should be thinking, all right, the system doesn't work. We got two people that most Americans don't want. Don't get me wrong. Some people still like Biden. A couple people do, like 5. Some people like Trump. More people like Trump than like Biden. That's obvious. The polls are clear on that one. But still, most people don't want these two. And it's still two to be, I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. It's 2 old white guys. It just is, right? They're not women. They're not young. They're not of color. They're none of those things. It's 2 white guys. Is the system broken? What's going on?
No, the system's working exactly as it's designed.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Very good. Yes. But it must be driving you crazy, isn't it? Or is it just me? I can't stand it.
It's definitely driving everyone crazy. It's driving me a little bonkers because it's like, you want to make the right decision. Some people are not sure what is the right decision because,
right,
people tug at the heartstrings of the emotional of how people feel about.
Yes.
So they just feed into that emotional state. Some people say, well, Trump gives me anxiety. I'm like, well, what about Biden?
Yep.
So, and then the lesser of the 2 evils, that's what I've been hearing a lot more, is the lesser of the 2 evils. I'm just like, I don't know.
Is this going to affect all the stuff below, right? I mean, Daniella, when you ran, did Trump affect you, good or bad? Were like people saying, well, you're Republican, so Trump? Or did nobody care at the local level? Was that affecting your race?
What I would notice is that the local officials do like to say that out loud in front of rooms of Democrats to try to turn them off from me, because you can't say I'm racist because I'm Black, so you can't use that card. So they pull January 6th. That's the only card they can pull. and try to make it seem like we're irate and, you know, these people who walk around and do all these things. So they try to use it. It works. Now, I would say it does work a lot with the older crowd. The younger generation, the millennials, they don't really care. They're like, we want Trump. But the older crowd, I would say, like, honestly, those ones who are above like 65 and up are the ones who are like stuck in their ways, set in their ways. That will work on them January 6th. But I feel as though, and the men honestly are leaning, like you said earlier, they are leaning a lot more Republican. I see it even in my own household. So they are leaning a lot more Republican.
I tell this story all the time, and I told you guys this before we came on. My brother who lives in Florida, he's conservative, church-going man, owns more than one gun, owns an AR-15 for years, or a Democrat. For decades, Democrat. Now he's like, and that's a big change. I see it in my family too. If I went back, I mean, when I was raised as a kid, my household, Republicans were bad because they were Republicans. That was the reason, right? You didn't have to, it didn't matter. It had Arby's name. Well, clearly he's a bad guy. And I was raised in the South Bronx in New York. So, you know, that's what it was. And the Bronx, I'm sure you know, Daniella, is still heavy Democrat, even to this day. But back then, it was just, that's what you did. Now I think it's changing. I don't know, Scottie, what are you seeing?
So it's interesting. And I love being on here with three New Yorkers. I think there could be psychological studies on the politics
Sarah
of New York.
She's a Texan.
Sorry, Sarah. I didn't catch the Texan. Well, then you can relate to what I'm saying.
You just insulted her, by the way.
I know.
Now she's mad at you.
And I apologize. I want to consider that to be an insult, but I didn't see the cowboy head or a steer head on the wall. That's what probably threw me off. Or the rattlesnake in the background. But if you look at it, you want to look at the history and the timeline. You know, the South was always Democrat up until probably the 1950s, 1960s. This was, and we had this great term that I've debated with a mutual friend of ours, blue dog Democrat.
Southern Democrat.
That was the party of the South. They were gentlemen. They were young ladies. They were people who respected everyone. They were conservative in their social issues. Fiscally, though, they were liberal. Now we've had this flip-flop. There has been this miseducation, or to now what we're saying is an education, where Democrats are the Republicans from the 1950s and the Republicans are the Democrats from the 1950s. And so you basically put it in this big melting pot where everybody's trying to figure out their ideology, and it's not necessarily regional anymore. But I do want to make a point to Daniella. Daniella, come run as a Republican in the South. Because I promise you in these local elections, it is Donald Trump that is turning out the mass numbers outside of maybe New York, California, urban areas. It is Donald Trump. If you are running as dog catcher in a very red area, you want to have a picture with Donald Trump on your make dog catching great again is your sign. Your signs look like Donald Trump signs. Anything and everything attached to Trump is what is motivating a lot of these local especially in the South and the Midwest. I think people are still, that is their main motivator, because conservatives, God bless them, they need to rally behind something, whether it's Chick-fil-A, Donald Trump, anti-Bud Light. We have to have rally cries. And right now, Donald Trump is that rally cry that is still motivating people in the mass numbers, because we're afraid to be by ourselves. Conservatives don't want to be isolated, because that's when they get called out. And
you just say that. Joe just posted, goes, Florida Republican Party just endorsed Trump. There we go. There we go. Yes. Teresa says, yes, Daniella May could make it in the South. Uh-oh. They're making you move. I don't want to lose her. Why are you stealing Daniella, you guys?
Daniella, let me tell you, I've got a great example. We have in a local judge's race with me, we have DK. She is an amazing African-American Republican judge, local judge. She is running against an Edwards, who's white male, your typical Southern male man. She is an incredible Republican woman who will admit, I was a Democrat up until 10 years ago when I actually got my judge's seat and I started to see how the process works. She right now, the reason if she loses, is not going to be because of the color of her skin. And I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. It's going to be because she's a woman. That's the issue that we are fighting the Republican Party. It's not, and as you point out, it's not the black and white, even the Hispanic. Muslims are overwhelmingly turning more conservative because of the family values of the Muslim community. It's true. It is the female issue that the Republican Party is still continuing to have to address. And they're doing we're still in binders. We are still have not broken out.
No, I agree. Republican Party is struggling when it comes to women. That's absolutely true. And you can see it in the polling too. Democrats are beating the Republicans on women like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Women are rushing to Democratic Party compared to Republican Party. It's absolutely true. Sarah, what have you seen? Come on, you've run Republican as a woman. Did the Republican Party all of a sudden yell at you, call you names?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Texas is in the middle of a civil war in the Republican Party. The Republican Party chair is endorsing people. Our governor and our attorney general are at war with different issues. And so they're endorsing opponents. Sometimes they're endorsing the same person. It's absolute insanity. And I think that the takeaway should be that we have a duopoly that is run by oligarchs that gives the appearance of free market, which the voters are not the customers, right? The donors are. And you've got billionaires.
I wish you were wrong, but you are right.
And you once you understand the numbers and the math, it's like Moneyball. And I tell people that, the movie Moneyball, where they're trying to figure out how you beat the Yankees when you don't have Yankees money. Well, I'm a league of their own farm town team trying to play the Yankees. I mean, that's the games that we're playing. And if you want to, for example, if you want to be in statewide office in the state of Texas, you have to run as a Republican, which means it's the Republican primary, which is March 5th here. Early voting starts in 8 days. And that will determine who our statewide leadership is. And 18 million voters, 800,000 people will participate in the Republican primary, maybe up to 1.5 because it's a presidential year. But we don't have, people know Trump's now the shoo-in. Like, I was a Nikki Haley fan. I don't love all of her policies, but I like her better than Trump. And I'm still going to go and vote for Nikki Haley in the Republican primary, but I tried to get forward party ballot access, and I realized what that was going to take and that it was going to be impossible.
Yes.
I thought about the Libertarians and wanted to run, but they've got no money. And if you're going to have a statewide office, you need at least 2 to 3 million if you're running as a Republican, and you need 5 to 10 if you're running as anybody else. And if you aren't realistic with the numbers and educating people, then it takes, like me, right, naive and just going, oh yeah, I've been a lifelong Republican, I'll show up, and they're going to give me the names and numbers of voters, and they're going to want to help me. Nope.
Look at Danielle's face. She's like, that's not how that works. Yes, exactly right.
Not.
Yeah.
It was, there's you find it on your own. I got everything on my own. By the time they said, oh yeah, we'll help you, it's like I already have it. The election's in three minutes. You want to help me now?
Yes.
But Danielle, here's what doesn't help. People like Kimberly Klasick, who gets in the race, who can turn out, and she might be a friend of yours, but it's those that get in. And while you might have a very hard district to win in, you're probably very sincere in your message. You're not going to go out and do things just to get clickbait and to raise money. You're not doing this to become a celebrity, whether you win or not.
Right.
The problem is in the Republican Party, especially post-Trump 2016, so many, and I'm going to put this label on them, grifters have come in, and we've made political celebrities within our party.
Yes.
And they're not coming in to make this country a better place to live. They're coming in to make themselves a celebrity. And that right there is what has ruined, I think, the Republican Party, and what is continuing. Good people like yourself doesn't give you a chance, because unless you're able to go out there and be Slick Willie and do trades to get clicks to sell your campaign and make you on the front stage of the RNC, then you're never going to have a chance. And that's how we keep losing good people on the ballot.
Well, I got to tell you, the reasons why I brought both Sarah and Daniela on and why I like them as much is because I felt exactly that. When I met Daniela, I was like, that's a woman who's serious. And remember, I gave you a bunch of free advice, Daniela, when we met.
Yes, you did.
I sat on the phone with her. I gave her a bunch of free advice. Sarah, I gave you the best of my advice I could give for you too. I gave the best I possibly could to give you the best I could, because I thought you guys were real. You weren't just like, oh, how can I make a bunch of money on this? You were like, no, I want to fix things. I was like, I'm in. Let's do this. I absolutely. Let me grab a couple of comments if I could. This is Michael Vazzi goes, ladies are on point. I guess you have some fans. I like that. Yes. Oh, Robert does not like Nikki. He says Nikki's a horrible candidate. He is not a Nikki fan. So let's see. Roger says we don't need political parties. We need direct democracy in more states, like here in New York, to allow voters to place amendments and laws on the ballot for us to ratify in the state constitutions and approve state laws. I agree with Roger. I think one of the ways, look, in my perfect world, I would love to have very easy, simple ballot access. I don't think that's going to happen. I wish it would. If it can't happen, I think Roger's idea of having more ballot initiatives is a way of circumventing the two-party system. It's a way of getting around it, particularly in states like you just said, Sarah. What you deal with in Texas, I deal with in New York, right? New York City, Daniella knows this. The election day is irrelevant. New York City is 6-1 Democrat to Republican, 6-1. Whoever wins the Democratic primary is wins. The election in November is just a ceremony. It's a nice ceremony, but it's just a ceremony. We know
who's one party rule, right? Like you don't even have two parties. That's one party rule.
Correct. Yes. In fact, some people don't know this. In New York State, a Republican has not won a statewide election, anything, attorney general, senator, governor, nothing, in 22 years.
Of course not.
Nothing.
Because I don't expect them to, because when I went to do like the interviews to get the endorsement from the Republican Party and the Conservative Party, I did interviews at the Conservative Party, got it. They loved me. They said, well, we're going to endorse you. I go to pick up my petitions and we have no petitions for you. I'm like, what do you mean? And the short of the story was, we're following what the Republican Party is doing. So how independent are you?
Yes.
Okay, so Larry, I have to ask you a question, as I have friends that are watching this live stream right now, and they just text me, says, founders did not want direct democracy. How do you respond to that?
They're correct. The founders did not want direct democracy. In fact, that's why we have electoral college. Most who don't know that.
Were they wrong? Do you think that the founders were wrong in how they set up our
No, I think at that time that was correct. 100%. I think at that time it was the right move. I don't know that. I don't agree with that now. In other words, most people know that our senators were not supposed to be voted on directly. Our senators were supposed to be selected by our state assemblies, right? In the Constitution, the state assembly selects our senators. We don't vote for our own senators. The founding fathers made, plus you had to be a white male over 25 or older to vote. And you had to own land. So you'd be a white male, 25 or older to own land. Most people don't know the voting age went to 18 in like 1970 something. 72 was it? Something like that? After the Vietnam War, because people were fighting about, we're drafting people to send them off to Vietnam, but they can't vote. And that's how we made, I think it's the 26th Amendment, if not mistaken. Chat, help me with this. The 26th Amendment, I think it is, actually lowered the voting age to 18. Prior to that, it was 21. So they did not want direct democracy. I think you're totally correct. Your friends are exactly correct. And I think my view, we have to shift towards more direct democracy now. We are now a much more educated society. I don't mind going back to 21 for voting age, to tell you the truth, but I think the direct democracy is better. Sarah, you got something I can see you ready to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm like, we should start with uncapping the House, right? Like there has to be a balance. And how I envision fixing it is if we could uncap the House and get rid of the bureaucrats and people that we got back to having elected office be a temporary act of service, so that you had doctors and lawyers and insurance and construction and all of the people. And then maybe 10% actually went to DC, and the other 90%, that's your EPA, that's your ATF, that's your all of the bureaucracies that are now just mired in trying to stay relevant and keep their fluff. And we've gotten to the point where we can't get any legislation passed because everything's an omnibus bill. And we're not actually governing anymore. And instead we're printing money at an incredibly alarming rate. And it's all for the war machine, the pharma machine, the big money corporate machines, which, by the way, now, thank you, Citizens United, right? They have bought and paid for our government. So here we are. 100%. I mean, yeah. So I think that this is what our founders thought of. I mean, no, they couldn't imagine 3 women having access, right? Like, I mean, God, let's be real.
No one on this panel was supposed to vote. That's all I'm saying. No one on this panel was supposed to vote with our founding fathers. You're right. Yes. No one was supposed to.
But I do think that they're, like John Adams talking about his greatest fear being 2 parties in which they just swap power. I mean, and that's what we have now. And so it's big corporations instead of old white men, but we still have people other than us, right? That's not looking out for our best interests.
Very true. Very true. My chat has come through. Joe says 26th Amendment is correct. Yes, I was right. It's 26th Amendment. So excellent. Yes, I was correct. So I get it right sometimes. If I don't, my chat helps me out. So it's all good. So yes, So
okay,
Danielle,
so
go
let me
ahead.
ask another question. What do you think should be the proportion of population? I mean, Madison of the House of Representatives, Madison originally thought of it to be around 30,000.
Yep.
Today, it's over 700,000. How can one person represent 700,000 people? So
Yes.
what is it?
Especially when, especially when you're gerrymandering, right? Like,
our Supreme Court has dropped the ball with accepting gerrymandering. That was embarrassingly bad. They should have stepped in and stopped it without question. I can't believe they didn't do it. They had a chance. Our Supreme Court could have ended gerrymandering and it didn't. And that was silly. They dropped the ball. They kicked down the can. It's bad. Anyway, I'll answer your question. I want to get Danielle in there too, but I think there's two things we have to worry about. I don't want to go total direct democracy. I'm not against the idea of states having a little extra power. And I know a lot of people don't like that. But it's too far. Wyoming has the same number of senators as California. That's too much. That's just, there's no way the founders could imagine that 40 million people will be in one state and half of them will be in another. They could not have imagined that, right? So I think we have to make some kind of adjustment. It would take an amendment to make some kind of change like that. But in my view, there should be some kind of amendment. Like maybe the top 10%, top 30 states get 3 senators, the middle get 2, and the lowest ones get 1 or something. But there's got to be some way of changing that balance while still giving rural states and less populous states some power. We don't want to just have New York City and LA take over the entire country. That would be unfair to the rest of the country, even though I live in New York City, but still it would be unfair. I recognize that. So I do think the number should be, for senators, should be different. The individual people, I don't think you can go, in my own view, I don't think you can go, I mean, really, to be forward, any bigger than 400,000. That's the absolute massivest, biggest you can go. I would go less than that. And why do I say that? That was the size of one army during World War II. It was 400,000. One general in charge of 400,000 men was the largest you could possibly have. So I would not go any higher than that. That's the absolute, we're double what our military would accept. So that's why I would not go. I mean, that's the highest I'd go. I'd rather have it at a much more manageable 75, 100,000. I feel like you could handle that in general, particularly if your district wasn't gerrymandered. So you could probably get around and meet people. I think you could do that. I think it's possible. That's my view. Danielle, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In regards to the gerrymandering, and I live in a neighborhood where they just thrive off of wanting to change districts and make things work for their way, especially because the area I was living in was heavily Democratic. Even when I realized during the redistricting, a couple of districts that were pretty Republican during the redistricting picked up a lot of Democrats. And a lot of when they did do a lot of the redistricting, specifically with my district, because I ran in District 31, they included the entire JFK airport inside of my district. Yes. So when they redistrict. So, and then that includes, surrounding it is 2 other Democrats, one be a House Speaker, and the other person is a Republican. But that redistricting took all the good land that was inside of District 32, spread it around to all the Democratic districts, and included the whole entire JFK airport, which has Far Rockaway in there with all the building up on the beach. And
so that all these local guys can hand out jobs to their friends.
Basically,
all that's for. Yes.
That's all it's for, because then you hear a lot of people in the neighborhood, we didn't get any of these contracts, and they're supposed to be going to the neighborhood. But then when you look at the statistics, if the neighborhood is primarily African American, the contracts are going to Caucasian women. It's like, what neighborhood are you talking about?
Yes.
So these things happen in order for them
minority and women-owned businesses are priority as long as they donate. As long as they donate. You donate, you are now a priority. Absolutely correct. Yes.
Yep.
Terrible. New York State's been so bad. Most people don't understand how bad New York has been with gerrymandering. The New York State lost, because so many people are leaving my state, they lost a congressperson. So we had to redistrict, right? Because we lost a congressperson. So redistricting, the Democrats said, oh, great. We can get rid of all our Republicans. We'll just redistrict. I'm not even joking. They said, we'll just redistrict all the Republicans out. And we'll be 25 people will have 23 Democrats, 2 tokens, Republicans, right? Even though the vast majority physically of New York State is red, right? Because it's obviously rural versus urban, as all states are. So they were so bad. I'm not joking. It actually happened. A judge went, guys, I can't do this. And judges always allow gerrymandering. And this judge was like, this is so bad. I'm going to like get fired. I can't. Guys, what are you doing? Literally a judge actually in New York State went, dude, even I can't do this. That's how bad it was. It was so blatantly obvious, to your point. And that's what happened. And when that happened, the Republicans, and I'll give them, they were savvy. Republicans stepped in right away with an independent panel, redistricted everybody out. That's how come the New York picked up Republican seats, because Republican redistricting. And in case you didn't know, Daniela, the Democrats are redistricting again.
Oh, yes, I did see that. I said again.
They are.
What more do you want?
They're going to throw out those Republicans that they just had.
That they just gained, right?
Yes, they're going to throw them right out. They're going to redistrict those Republicans right out. Exactly right. I guarantee you New York will lose Republican congressmen based upon this new redistricting. Guaranteed. No doubt. We'll throw them right out. They use it all the time. I wish, God, it's so bad. I wish it wasn't true. But yes, it is sadly true. We're always using lawfare and not worrying about our parties pick the voters. Our voters don't pick the parties.
But Larry, let me throw an idea out to there. And God bless you, Danielle and Larry, for trying to stay and save your homeland and save your state.
Yes.
I'm afraid it might be a lost cause at this stage, but I mean, I don't see how this is going to reverse, and you're going to.
You see, I live in a bunker already.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I give you that one. But this is why states like Tennessee, Texas, even Florida, from our perspective, we're actually in our state calling for closed primaries, because what's happening is we're afraid if we don't set the foundation now and get true conservatives, because you can run, we're going to elect the Republicans from the state of Tennessee. But what kind of Republicans? Are they going to be the kind that are just going to loosen at the threads of the state so that the Democrats can come back in? And so we're calling for closed primaries, and we're fighting our own Republicans who don't have the foresight to realize Democrats are great at long-term planning. Make no mistake. The reason why New York is blue and you're having the issue you have, it's not because of this decade or last decade. It's because of 50, 60 years ago, the Republican parties didn't have enough foresight to recognize what the strategy was. And if we don't do it now in these solid red states to guarantee it, you're going to see the same thing possibly happen. So I think, God bless you for trying. I don't know states like California, New York, you might be a lost cause. We need to make sure, though, that we try to solidify some of these other states.
Let me touch a couple of those pieces. One, I think it's true. And some people get angry when I say this, but I got to say it. The left organizes better. They
do.
They just do. It's true. I'm not trying to be pro-Democrat or pro anything, but they organize better, even when they don't have money.
Sarah, or didn't say.
Have you seen the DSA? The DSA, Daniel, you know DSA. They're all over Queens.
Yep, they're all over Queens.
Yeah, they don't have that much money, but they're organized. They're like almost like a cult in some ways. They organize.
They already have their city council seats picked out for the ones that are open. They already know who is gonna run for mayor. They already know who's gonna be the new minority whip and the new speaker already, and they've been planning these seats for like 4 years, 5 years ago, molding these women, having them, because I see it all the time. I live over here, so I watch them do it. They just go, they all have them go get awards. That's how they start them off. They all get awards.
That's right.
And now when they're done with their awards,
they get recognized in the community. Yes, absolutely.
And then
my city council, my assemblyman, my state senator, and my congressperson, by the way, who's AOC, are all DSA members. All four. I am DSA from city to state to federal.
Wow.
So yeah, they are organized. So to your point, Scottie, I'm just reinforcing what you just said.
Yeah.
They organize.
They're organized.
No doubt. They're very
and they message. They message.
Yes.
It doesn't matter the actions or what the legislation is.
Yes.
They message. They are the kind of people that are literally putting arsenic in the pie that they're serving you and telling you that you're going to like it. And you won't realize you're sick until you're actually at home and have already voted for them to be reelected. Yes. They are amazing at it. And I don't know why the Republicans can't. This isn't anything new. I do not understand why we can't get our messaging, not only as Republicans, but even libertarians or conservatives, because I think the average person in the grassroots want something different.
Yeah.
And the Republicans cannot be effective. And it doesn't help when you have the traders right now on Capitol Hill just down the street selling us out of billions of dollars in aid for foreign countries when their own districts has homelessness, not taking care of vets, not poor infrastructure and poor school systems. Republicans are the bigger spenders than the Democrats. We just spend it out of the country. At least Democrats spend the money paying off the voters in their own districts.
They bribe the local people, not the foreign people. It's true. You get a bribe.
Get elected in Ukraine better right now than they probably could get elected in Texas.
Yep, it's true. I agree with you 100% because the main thing when I was looking to get my support from people, oh, well, so-and-so gave me a grant. She didn't give you a grant. She just told you how to apply for it. It's not her money.
Yes.
But that's what they do.
Yes.
And then they keep them in their pocket. Then these people are afraid to speak out against them because they want to continue getting their grant money because they feel as though they're going to put it right underneath them.
100%. Scottie Joel says, it's a safe and effective pie. See, that's what it is. It's a safe and effective pie. It's got arsenic in it, but it's safe and effective. See, that's what it is. It's all good. I love it.
Good.
Sarah, what are you seeing Republicans? Are you seeing Democrats organize worse in your state, better? Or is it just New York that they do a better job?
Yeah, because you guys have money and it's we've got the opposite. I mean, the Democrats here are so disorganized. And we've got these fake grassroots Republican groups that are like fringy crazies. You look into them, they're convicted felons, and they are grifters. I mean, Brad Parscales was part of the 2016 Trump stuff. He's now living an hour away from me in Midland, Texas, an $800,000 house.
Okay, how many Mercedes-Benzes are in his driveway? I'm just wondering.
I don't know. You know, it's good right now in the Permian. So the Bentleys are plentiful right now. But you know, $50 a tweet. They were paying people to support Ken Paxton. And I called it from the very beginning. I said, this is Trump's people that have infiltrated Texas. They're using Ken Paxton's story to be like, look, they're coming after conservative officials. And it's like, no, Ken Paxton's a crook. He's corrupt and he should have been impeached. He admitted he defeated his impeachment. And then he admitted that he illegally fired the whistleblowers, which was one of the impeachable items. And he's trying to avoid getting his deposition. So he's like, okay, now I'm just admitting everything in the petition because they filed a civil suit against him. And that's what started the whole thing. He tried to settle it last spring for $3-point-something million. And he went to the legislature and he's like, hey guys, I need $3 million to pay for this whistleblower suit that I'm going to settle. And the legislature was like, wait, we're not going to give you $3 million because you illegally fired people who were concerned about you and reported you to the FBI. And that's what's happened. And it is so corrupt.
But, okay. Is someone going to give them the money though?
What?
Is someone going to, even though they may not, is someone else going to be like, I got you. Here's your money.
Oh, yeah. And then like, oh, for sure. I mean, it's
okay, good. That's what I thought. There we go. Yes.
Hands, right? Like it keeps changing names. The PACs change names.
Yes.
You know, they're hanging out with Nick Fuentes that proclaims to love Nazis. Like our state Republican executive committee in December met and could not sign a resolution to denounce anti-Semitism.
Wow.
Like if you affiliate with Nazis, we do not want you in the Republican Party. And they were like, well, I don't know if we can sign this, guys.
Yes.
What?
I mean, but they're thinking, well, Nazis got money, right? So they were literally thinking that. Yeah, but Nazis got money. I don't know.
What it is it's the weaponization of Christianity. And it's really infuriating. It is white Christian nationalism.
That's a whole new avenue Sarah just opened right there. Here we go.
It's Tim Dunn. It's the Wilkes brothers.
No,
I mean,
you've made up a very valid point. And now I bring this up because one of the things you also find, by the way, with us talking about men and women shifting, right? Men are becoming, for the first time in America, more religious than women. That was not a thing years ago. It's becoming more than women, right? And as men become more religious, they become more conservative. Women are becoming less religious. And this is the thing, this goes back to the Super Bowl ad. People got mad at Super Bowl ads. Because the Super Bowl ads for the Christian Jesus Super Bowl ads were very
Jesus-y,
left wing,
like treating people the same and washing the feet.
Yes, but hold on. Let me keep going though. Let me keep going with this. The fastest growing religion on the planet and in America is Islam, and it's Islam not because Islam is so open, because Islam is the opposite. It says, this is what you must do. You must be this way. This is who we are. This is what you do. And there are a lot of people in this country, in the world, but this country, who are lost. They're lost. And they're looking for someone to not go, everything's fine. They're looking for someone to go, no, what's wrong with you? Do this. This is the rules. Here's the way you're fixing your life. Do these things. And the more fundamentalist Christianity, Islam, you also see even in Judaism. You see a lot of people who are becoming much more. I know people who never kept a kosher household. Then you probably know some people now, also who are now keeping kosher households because they're becoming more Jewish. I mean, that's happening now. So like every religion that has more of that, men are moving towards that like there's no tomorrow. So I think your point, Sarah, is right on. I think you're right on target.
Well, and
I'm reinforcing it.
Yeah, no, I think, and realistically, right? Like we're the first generation of women who I don't need a man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need a man to pay for bills. I don't need a man to make babies. I don't need him, right? Like they are like we only keep you around if we like you now. And I think
no, you're not wrong.
It's like, guess what? I've been married twice. Not doing that again. Okay. Why did I do that?
I was going to marry you, Sarah, now, and you just ruined everything. Okay, forget that, I guess.
Right?
All right.
But you know, it's like that
Whatever.
whole thing. Like, how did you snag her? You know? I mean, like that mentality is still out there. And it's very, I think the reason we've got men shifting is because they feel like they're losing power. And you go to these fundamental religions. And I told my mom the other day, my mom is very religious. She's gone kind of nutso religious as I've gotten older. I grew up Baptist, and now she doesn't wear pants. Like women only wear skirts. And we're talking about like, right. And I said the whole Southern Baptist Convention and right, the pedophiles that have come out and the abuse of power. And I said, look, Mom, when you try to like tell women that they have to cover up because men just can't control themselves, this is the type of culture that you create. And she said something about, well, we just don't like temptation. And I said, that's what they say about the hijabs too, Mom. Right. And but
that's attractive. I think that's you're saying it in a way that is almost like that's dumb. And what I'm saying is, whether it's dumb or not, it's working.
Oh, I'm not saying it's dumb. Yeah, no.
Women are going that way too. Like women who are religious, but many are going away, but those who are staying are becoming more religious. Like to your mom's exact point. I know a lot of women, and there are many Jewish people in New York City. New York City is heavily Jewish. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of Jewish friends. I know Jewish women who are becoming more Jewish, like starting to wear headscarves and all that kind of stuff. I do. It's not just men. It's women too. This is people looking for something. Go ahead.
But I want to point out what you're talking about is about the Puritans. It's why, that people might even say America was first founded. It's the Puritans, the people that they want people like boundaries, even religious boundaries. Even when they're trying to escape religious boundaries, they still want religious boundaries. Right. Here is the problem with what I think you're seeing in the modern day, why you're having the women is because it's almost like the squeaky wheel is getting the attention. What you're seeing is this is happening in the LGBTQ community. This is happening in all these communities. It's the extremists are the ones that are loud. They're the ones getting the attention. So therefore, I don't want to be put in that category. So I'm going to go the exact opposite. Even if I don't fundamentally completely want to put the headscarf on and be all tight robed and not show skin, I don't want to be the person out there marching in the street with little kids and dildos.
Oh.
So I'm going to go.
It's like a pendulum swing.
It's a pendulum swing. It's gone so extreme.
Yeah.
I don't want to be put in that category. So I'm going to go the exact opposite, even if I really don't want to go back that way. I think Sarah made a great point about how women, for the first time probably in society, don't necessarily need a man to survive, to live. And that for men, that's the problem with the Republican Party. They still hold the power. They're still not relinquishing the power yet to women. People like Elise Stefanik is amazing. The fact that she's a mom was young kids, and she's still able to balance it with help and still be able to present herself. Yet she's not getting the credibility I believe she deserves, especially when you're talking about.
She's number 3. She's doing great. She's number 3.
I think she'd make an amazing VP candidate. I don't think it's going to happen. Unfortunately, I think it's going to go another way. Why? I don't know. I think she's exactly what the Republican Party needs, especially when you're talking about women in this party. But so even the attacks that came on Nikki Haley, and even from Trump's perspective, even yesterday talking about where's her husband, there is still a very machismo attitude in the Republican Party, and it is wrong. And until men start standing up and calling it out, it's going to continue, and it's going to drive those women away. They might want to be Republican, but they don't want to be seen as a party that promotes, because they don't want their daughters to have to deal with the same issues in this party that we have had to deal with as women as we're in the Republican Party. I want to reclaim the feminist standard. I am sick of the liberals and the left saying, and I have a son and a daughter, they're 14 months apart. My son, he looks like, Mom, why are you saying you're a feminist? I absolutely am a feminist. I am a proud feminist. I want my daughter to have equal representation like you do, Houston, but I'm not going to do it on your back. I'm not going to take away your rights, give my daughter rights. That's the difference between a conservative feminist and a liberal feminist. And until the Republicans start messaging that, we're going to continue to have issues.
Well, I mean, just like in Texas with the heartbeat bill, right? I mean, I personally am very much pro-life, but I'm fundamentally lean libertarian, and you can't legislate morality. And unless and until we stop legislating morality, and the people that are screaming the loudest about morality are the kinkiest ones, man. They are the freakiest. I'm like, you guys just need to live your own repressed lives and stay out of everybody else's lives. But we need to let adults do what consenting adults want to do and stay out of it. And I don't know why that's the messaging, right? It's the economy, stupid. Like, people have real problems. The fact that they're trying to turn everything into this horrible Houston shooter is apparently a transgendered woman. Like, and so now there's another ad hominem, right, to say, oh, well, look, it's I can hear it now, right? Like, I can just hear the horrific things that are going to come out. And instead of saying like, oh, we're having a mental health crisis and people are screaming for help, right? Like, but you can't take people's guns. That doesn't solve the problem. And it's I don't know, but I think with the very beginning talking about,
if we just had one more gun law, Sarah, it'd be perfect. Just one more. Just one more, and it will be perfect. Just one more.
It's like a potato chip. You can never just have one, Larry. They can never just have one potato chip. You can never just have one gun.
Once the Supreme Court actually said New York State's gun laws are bad, Kathy Hochul said 10 more. I'm not joking. You're totally correct. She did 10 more. It's like, oh, it's unconstitutional? Take 10 more. That's what she did. So yes, absolutely. Let me grab a couple of, talk to my audience real fast. Guys, if you're liking this show, then do me a favor, click the like button. I bug you to click the like button because they always censor me because I'm too damn good looking. That's why they keep doing it. They're jealous of me. I know they are, but that's okay. Click the like button so I can get past algorithm. That's what I'm trying to get past, the algorithm. So please do that. It's really good. If you can, if you're watching on Twitter, please retweet this. If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe. Obviously, if you want your chat to go to the front, you can always super chat me on Larry Sharpe YouTube if you'd like to. If you think that stuff's really good, you know what you can do? You can support the channel. Become a member, join $49 per month. Is the way you can join the channel if you want to. But no matter what you do, please follow these people who are giving us so much of their time this evening. Follow them all on Twitter. Their details, by the way, are in the show description on both Facebook and YouTube to see what they're doing. Check them out. Check them all right here on Twitter. You can see Scottie, you can see Daniella, and you can see Sarah all there. Please follow them if you would. I do want to grab, if I could, a couple of more comments on this. So many people are commenting a lot here, and I do appreciate that. Let's see here. Straight Chillin' says, people are damaged from COVID. Religion is one way to heal. I think that's true. The lockdowns, I won't go COVID, the lockdowns. The lockdowns really hurt a lot of Americans, and religion is a way to reconnect. I think that's true. It's a way to reconnect, get back into connecting with people. I think that's one of the reasons why you do see a resurgence, trying to gain some more community. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. I think the lockdown secluded a lot of people, and when everyone came out of this lockdown, some people haven't even really have developed this social anxiety now. Some people can't put down the mask because they've just been it's just been so ingrained in them that they just have to wear this mask. I've even become more I don't know, more observant on the train about like, because I'm taking about an hour and a half train ride into the city every day into Harlem from Queens. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff on the train. The train is filthy. And I don't know how these billions and trillions of dollars get put into this train system, but the things I see every day, I have a new story. It's too long for this show, but it's just like the drugs and the mental health in New York
everywhere
State is ridiculous. It's so bad, and there's no one's not doing anything about it. We're giving them needles and they're doing drugs in the train station. It makes no sense. It's like there's no help for them. There's no help for mental health. We barely have any inpatient facilities. We hardly have any outpatient. Everybody's on the street doing crazy things because they don't have anywhere to go. But yet we are housing migrants inside these places that's costing us all this money, but yet we're not helping our veterans or those who need that mental help. Like, it's really bad. And
absolutely. Dave says, even in religion, there's a split between Trump Christians and some strong Christian conservative leaders. Bob Vander Plaats in Iowa is one example. He goes on to say a former leader of the Southern Baptist Convention, Russell Moore, is another anti-Trump Christian. I'm not really up on this. Scottie, do you have any insight to this? Is this true or no?
I do. And this is where Ted Cruz and even to a certain extent where Ron DeSantis, it's the same supporters that were behind those two. Unfortunately, or fortunately, if you're looking at the president of the United States to be of your moral guidance and character and like your pastor, you're probably not ever going to find that person. So stop.
Well, maybe you could have found it with Jimmy Carter in 1976, maybe.
If you had enough gas to get to church to listen to him. I mean,
I didn't say economics. I said pastor. I didn't say economics.
I'm just saying one of the few, but that's the problem with it. So once again, if you're looking to the president of the United States to be your moral and your moral leader and your biblical teacher, you definitely are going to be disappointed every single roundabout. But you are seeing, and I think the other side of it is, and this is once again talks about this civil war that's happening within the Republican Party. You're fighting for, and it's happening in the church, just like it is in politics, you're fighting for dollars, and dollars are power. And the church lost money to Donald Trump being elected in 2016. Nobody wants to say that because the church was initially against Donald Trump getting elected in 2016. Now, all of a sudden, you have all of the big-haired, blue-eye-shadowed pastors in there praying with Donald Trump, who I hate to break to people, Donald Trump was not really a religious man prior to it. So for all of them to come in there and be evangelical with him, wrong person. And so the church right now is trying to at least recap some of the funding that they were getting from the conservative Republican Party prior to Donald Trump. And they're doing it by, once again, part of that grifter class, trying to make him one of them. He is not. And if you're looking,
Democrats are raising more money right now. Democrats are raising more money at the moment. And I think one of my opinion on this, it's because Republicans who want to get involved are going directly to Trump. They're not going to the RNC. They're not giving Republicans money. They're giving Trump or like maybe their local guy or gal. They're not doing a lot relative to Democrats. Democrats just like, take all my money, Democrats, because we're so scared of Trump and Trump's going to eat our babies or whatever. Take all our money. Republicans aren't doing that. Republican donors are giving much more to either the local person that they actually care about or know, and directly to Trump. Am I
going to pay Trump's legal bills? You are still seeing the same problem we had in 2016, 2020 of getting Trump signs, Trump hats, Trump paraphernalia out into the grassroots. They don't have it because all of that money that people are giving, the little $20 granny bills, are going to pay for the huge legal team that Trump is having to have right now. That's an injustice right there. That right there, I think, is going to cause surmountable, not to mention also all of the consultants that are now they're more rampant than germs in a daycare.
Scottie, that's our job. Don't say that. They're good. Consultants are good. That's our job.
No, they're not. If you need a consultant to tell you how to get along with the people in your district, then you should not have your name on the ballot.
Call me.
Sorry, Larry.
Say
sorry.
I'll fix
Now,
it.
you can have it for various, but if you're looking for a consultant as you do to tell you how to win your race, then you're obviously don't know the district and the office you're running for. I'm sorry. That's my consulting. It's free. Maybe this is why I'm a poor Republican. In the fact that
that's the reason. Don't give it away for free.
I tell the secrets as it is.
Never forget the Dark Knight when the Joker says, when you're really good at something, never do it for free.
Yeah, but see, I look at Daniella, and I would much rather give my advice to Daniella for free.
I'm a total hypocrite. I do it for free all the damn time. I am such a hypocrite. I do it for free always. But
so that's why you're having a broadcast from your attic instead of a multi-million-dollar stat. But that's
exactly why I live in a bunker. Yes.
It's your motivation. Your motivation is to save this country, not to buy a new Benz like our buddy Brad down the street from Sarah.
That's true. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. So I do want to grab one interesting one I thought was a interesting comment. Robert says, because men want families and women don't. I think this has been a common thought process recently, and that a lot of American women don't want families anymore. Now, I'm not saying it's true. I'm telling you that a lot of people believe this, and their logic is because they're saying that women are having less children. That's not actually true. Less women are having children. The women who have children tend to have the same amount, 1, 2, or 3, which is the most common in America. That hasn't changed very much. But the number of women who are having children has gone down. Less women are having children. So a lot of men are saying, well, you don't want to have a family. To your point, Sarah, if I don't want to have a family, I mean, no man. I don't want a family. So what are you a man for, right? I don't want a family. So I think that's what people think. Danielle, go ahead, please.
So this is where I think, so I don't have kids. And I don't have kids because I would like to get married first. Mm-hmm. And because I want to do things like that. Because, I was raised by a single mom. I want to do things the right way. Yep. And I
waited till I got married before I had kids too. I'm with you. I waited.
Yeah, that's, so I think what I see a lot with my generation of people, which is why I think a lot less women are having kids, is because I feel as though the women are scorned from struggling. They don't want to struggle and be a single parent, so they rather just not. Or these men just don't want to marry. They just want to have a baby with you, and that's just not what you want either.
Okay.
So,
okay.
That's what I think. Just circling around, just where I've been around and where I'm speaking. Yeah. And
they're expensive. They're expensive. And we have access to birth control. We can plan better. And guess what? We can do things other than being barefoot and pregnant. And, it's like, less of us want a traditional quote unquote family, because I'll go ahead and say it. There's a lot fewer men out there that are actually real men that are like, we'll open your door and well,
you don't need no man. So why should I open your door? You don't need no man.
You don't want to sleep with me? Don't open my door. You know what? But if you want romance, you got to bring romance, because we don't need you to pay our bills. You don't get a BJ because you brought home a paycheck. It doesn't work that way anymore. We don't need it.
Damn it. I've been doing it the wrong way the whole time. Okay, that's my problem. Thank you, Sarah. You didn't tell me that before.
For me, I think it's you don't need it, but it would be nice. I want it, but I don't need it, but I want it, if that makes sense.
But do you understand though? And obviously Sarah's fine with this. Daniella, I'm not sure you are.
Okay.
If you say openly that you don't need a man, a good man is never going to come to you, because a good man wants to be needed. So if you say that you don't need a man, the men you will attract will be two types. One, a guy who's very weak, who you will eventually divorce because he's too weak for you. Or two, a user, because he wants to conquer you. So he comes in, conquers you, and leaves you. So saying out loud, I don't need a man, means you're not going to attract the right man. Now, Sarah's okay. She's going to be married, so no worries. Daniella, if you want a man, you might not want to say that out loud, because you're going to attract.
I haven't said it out loud, so.
You're good then. You're good. All good. Yes.
I think here, let's bring this back to kind of what we're dealing with the politicals. This idea.
Oh, please, go ahead. Yeah, please.
The Leave It to Beaver family is out the door. mainly because we can't afford the Leave It to Beaver family anymore. This is the economics of it. If we lived in a society where one person, mainly the head of the household, the man, could afford a middle-class lifestyle where you don't have to worry about if your child gets sick and healthcare bills and putting food on the table, and you're not going into credit card debt just to take your kids to Disney World, which, by the way, I just returned last week. You go into credit card debt going to Disney World.
Yes, you do.
If that was true, then guess what? We could maybe go back to the 1950s, the positive side that was the 1950s. But guess what? That doesn't exist anymore. I am in Washington, D.C. today. I'm a mother of a 15 to 16-year-old who this morning, I literally made their peanut butter jelly sandwiches, their lunches, sent them to school, got on a plane, flew to D.C., I'm going to be here for 24 hours, fly home. My husband's going to pick me up. We're going to go to the football quarterback meeting tomorrow night so that I can make it home in time after that to pick up my daughter from dance, to do her final preparations for her presentation the next day, and wash and repeat every week. This is not, I love my job. I love what I do. I like to think that I'm trying to save the country for a better place for my children. But the reality of it is I'm doing this because I can't afford to stay home. Because my husband, who makes a nice salary, is not enough for us to put ourselves, not a financial burden on our children in the future. That it all comes down to the economy right now, that we as a society are not supporting what used to be in existence. We have made, it's kind of like higher education. Universities demand more money for higher education because the government pays it. Society demands more money because somebody's going to pay it. And we don't know the toll that is taking on the families, more importantly, on what my generation of mothers are going to be in 10, 20 years. Are we going to live as old as our parents are living? I highly doubt it.
No, you've hit it. It's what Sarah said earlier, right? It's economics, right? I think you're right.
All economics.
A lot of that it is a big deal. But okay, so does that mean then, if we were to shift and to fix economics to where, wouldn't someone say the opposite? In other words, wouldn't somebody say, hey, kind of what Sarah said in a way is the opposite, right? If Sarah couldn't afford to live on her own, if she needed a man, right? In other words, she gets paid 20% or whatever a male, but back in like in the 50s, right? When women couldn't make enough money to do anything, right? And if she needed a man, would that make a stronger family? Because now Sarah can't say, I don't need no man. Because women are nowhere near equal. Women don't get educated. Women are barefoot and pregnant, to use her phrase. Would Sarah be like, okay, I need a man. I needed to get married, I guess, because I don't want to live with my dad the rest of my life.
I would be using a man for sure. I don't know that I would need him, but I would make him think he was needed, and I would use him.
Ooh, okay. So maybe that's it. Maybe we wouldn't be able to lie to me. Tell me you need me. Maybe that's what we got to do. All right, I got it.
You know what I mean? It's just like that whole the woman who pretended to be this German heiress, right? In Manhattan.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, it's like, was she manifesting? Was she a fraud?
Yes. Well, I think Snork Y2K is on your side, Sarah. He or she, they, in the 50s, wives are very close to being slaves. That's a little bit of an exaggeration. That's an exaggeration. But I get the point. This was kind of my point, right? There was a time that people look back and say, hey, that was the golden age, to Leave It to Beaver. But I think that a lot of women who, don't be wrong, there are women who love to be stay at home, right? And are happy to do it. My wife hasn't had to work. I've been married 23 years. She hasn't had to work, right? I've been able to take care of that for 23 years. So I don't mind that. Some people like that, but it is voluntary, right? And I'm happy when it's voluntary. If you believe that's a lifestyle you want, you would like to stay home, take care of children, you don't mind, relying upon your spouse, all good. I feel like a lot of women don't want that. I feel like a lot of women would rather work and have a career and even if there was a choice, if we changed it and made a great society where most men could make enough money to support it. I mean, it's not true now, to your point, Scottie, it's not true. But say we made it to where one person, in this case, the man, could, make enough money to have a decent lifestyle and have your kids go off to Disneyland every year. I don't know if women would be like, I'm going to stay home. I think a lot of women would be like, no.
You could not pay me. You could not pay me to stay home. You could.
Okay.
Not if I have to cook and clean and actually do the full-time job.
We would have to. Yep. In this world, you would have to. Yes. That would be the deal.
I'll go back to like England with having, an estate, right? Like, I mean, that's the great dichotomy of the 50s is consumerism, right? Like,
yes,
we went from everyone now expects to have a refrigerator and a washer and cell phones and cars. And we've become a complete society of $5,000 purses being a norm for average people, right? I mean, like our sense of we've never priced everything accurately. We're underpricing.
Isn't that a good thing?
Water.
Isn't it better that you can go off and buy a $5,000 bag if you want to?
No,
I mean, I would never do that, but isn't that a good thing?
No, because we're not taking care of our infrastructure. We don't have clean water to drink. We're not educating our children's. Our priorities are so far out of reality and they're whacked.
Hold on, but is that government or is that society or is it the same?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's.
I mean, this is the monster we've created, but. The good news, I think I'm walking, talking proof of you can be a nobody from nowhere in 2020 something with a voice and a social media presence, and you can find a way to get your message out there. Like it is possible, right? Like never before. But at the same time, that means we are equally vulnerable to all of the manipulation, all of the Brad Parscale attacks, right? And that has weaponized our government now to being manipulated to where people don't really know what they're doing or why they're doing it. Unfortunately, I think in a lot of cases.
Larry, the credit card society started in 1968. That meant the debtor society. And when people are in debt, they can be controlled. So like I said, it goes back to the idea of long-term planning, and this affects the family. So to your question, is this government or society? It's both, because the government knew in 1968 if they could create an economy where people were so much in debt, they could control and they could control families. And that's how we've gotten to the place we are today, is because we are controlled by the amount of debt. And as Sarah pointed out, by the things that we own that's just out of control. And as long as our society is running it, our government's going to do nothing to stop it.
No, it's a good point. Daniella, look, if I'll ask you personally, you said you want to have a family. If you found the man you wanted to marry, and this man made enough money to where you could have a couple kids and you could go, to Disneyland once a year, would you want to stay home or would you want to go work?
I would kind of see how I can do both, because I'm a nurse by trade. So I like nursing. I just will always find myself diving into that, whether it's, something freelance where I'll be able to pick up a shift or two a month and just do that just to keep myself busy. Because I get bored, and cooking, cleaning, and taking care of kids all day. I want to, I need a break. I want to talk to adults. Mm-hmm. So I think, just at least, a couple, but I would definitely be okay with being home, but not all the time. I need to at least do something. I need to work a little bit, but by choice, because I want to. I don't want to feel as though
yeah. Look, to be forward, you're never going to hear me say that women should be forced into the household. But I would love for more women to have the option to be able to take a choice on what they want to do. I think it's good. And I hope that I have 2 daughters. I hope that my daughters are able to have that choice to decide if they want to stay home, they want to work, if they want to take a couple years off to raise kids or not. They're able to do that and make the decision, how they want to do it. The second my wife had our first kid, she didn't work since then. And I didn't, whatever, it's fine. I hope more women can do that. Karen says, my 22-year-old daughter would love children, but doesn't feel that society is healthy place to raise them. This is a Gen Z issue. Karen brings up that is real, and we see it. Go ahead. I see it. Scottie, go.
Okay, so let me put your mind and tell your daughter this. Our children are incredible. I am so impressed. As much knocking as they talk about teenagers and younger ones, they have seen what our generation has done between the COVID lockdowns, the incredible debt, our national debt, the wars that we are in. They are rebelling against how bad their parents have parented. The best hope that I have is my children, their generation, because they have seen all the mistakes. I almost feel like our generation had it too easy because we looked at our parents. We didn't necessarily see the struggles. It was their parents that were in the Depression. They were the ones that were doing rationing with wars in Vietnam. Our parents, my mother, saw her classmates go off to Vietnam, but didn't really understand it. She was somewhat young. I haven't had to see that in my generation. So we're spoiled. It's kind of like kids that grow up in parents who love each other and think that, everything, marriage is a fairy tale. They're more likely to get divorced because they never saw their parents arguing. Our kids have seen us and have seen our mistakes that we've made. And I really think that they are going to do a large rebellion against what we've done. I see it more and more. That's, they're actually disconnecting from social media on larger numbers. That's why social platforms like Snapchat and TikTok are bigger than Facebook and Twitter right now, are growing because they don't want to make the same mistakes they've seen this generation make in government, economically, and socially.
Look at that. Huh. Well, I think some people are on my side with that man comment I made. Joel says, you say, I don't need a man. I hear, I hate men.
No,
I think that's a lot of men do think that. I think that's a common thought process. Dark Closet of the Mind says 100%, Larry. I do think men feel that. Men want to feel needed. And they do believe that, oh, yeah, you don't need no man. So there's no room for me is how they often will feel. I think that is a thing that's true. Absolutely. So let me grab a couple more of these. Scottie says the genie's out of the bottle now. Well, I think that's kind of true. Absolutely. Brian goes on and says, a man who feels needed by a woman will fight through the flames of hell to make her feel safe. Aw, that's sweet. But then Karen says,
but will he do the dishes?
Complain. He will not. No, he will not.
That's why you have kids, slave labor.
Yes. Kids are the last form of legal slave labor. Yes. My kids do dishes. They do. Men will complain that women aren't traditional. Meanwhile, these men inspire zero confidence and security for a woman to allow herself to be vulnerable and let them lead. Ouch. Ouch. I poked the bear, didn't I, with that one? Okay, I like it. It's all good.
Hey, there's a reason why in nature the lion stays back and the lioness is the one that gets the food and does all the work, and the lion's the one that stays home and sleeps with the kids. Because now maybe if the lion beats it up a little, the lioness could stay home and get her nails done. I think there's a very good point on that. That if you have a man that allows you that security, but once again, marriage is not 50-50 anymore. Society that's just not how it works. I've been married for 18 years. I'm so proud to be married for 18 years. My husband and I have this conversation because 10 of those, I'm the one that travels. His job keeps him at home. He's been the one that has done a more carpool probably than I am. And we make it work for us. And that's the key in how it should be these days.
So I guess that, I think what government can do, I think, is probably 2 or 3 things. One of them, I think, is to support an economy that one person can make enough money to support a family. I just don't think that's true now. I don't think that exists now. Everything is about, and I guess the second piece though, Sarah, and maybe it's the social aspect. I think most people they don't like to struggle. As Scott says immediately, quit spending. And I think that means quit spending government and maybe us too. Maybe the $5,000 bag is not the right answer for everybody. And there are so many people who think I want the cool car or the cool watch or the cool bag or the cool shoes or whatever, even though I can't afford it. I remember my dad was that way. My dad was very bad. I grew up in the 70s. And if you remember the 70s, one of the coolest cars to have was a Lincoln Continental with white wall tires. That was a cool car to have. We had that car in the Bronx. We never drove it. And I was like, why don't we drive it? Didn't have any money to put gas in it.
Okay.
Had the car though. Boy, had the coolest car in the neighborhood. That was my dad. My dad was like, oh, I got this back in the 70s. He would want to be a DJ. So he'd buy a bunch of albums. And my mom would say, hey, did you pay the rent? He said, no, I had to buy these albums. Didn't pay the rent. So yes. And I think, Sarah, to your point, there's a lot of people like my dad today.
Well, and I think not even just that, like basic living is expensive. right? Like,
okay.
Is internet a luxury? Is a cell phone a luxury?
Good point.
I mean, like, how do you function as a member of society without these things? And I think that, I guess my hope from COVID was that it would kind of equalize some of the home stuff, make it more normal for people to work from home and remotely. Like, we have the technology,
I think it has.
And it has. But
Yeah.
I think unfortunately we've kind of taken it's added flexibility, but I don't know that it's helped advance women the way I thought it has. I think it's let kind of everyone.
I think it has. Let me give you a little bit of data which you might enjoy.
Okay.
There has been, from the lockdowns, a small baby boom. And the small baby boom has been a very specific group. Female women, females, I should say, female members of the professional managerial class. If you are in a professional managerial class and you are a woman, there was a small baby boom. Why? To your point, Sarah, that women were able to stay home and still make enough money. Like, they still got their salary that they were getting, right? And they didn't have to go to work as much. And when it ended, they were like, no, we're staying home. And women were like, oh, well, then I have a baby. If I can stay home, I don't got to Daniella's point, I don't got to commute an hour and a half every day. Yeah, I can actually stay home with my baby. And I think, and so there was something positive that happened.
Yeah, but I still think check back in like 3 to 4 years. What's the backlash for when they're not just a baby? It's like everyone got puppies during COVID too.
Yes.
I got one.
I did one.
In fact,
my dog bites a lot of people now because we didn't socialize him. So there's to your point.
And not just that, there's actually a vet shortage because of it. We bought so many pets that there is a vet shortage in America right now. The vet, yes, that's how bad it is. So you're correct. Oh, so you think this was not a good thing, Sarah?
No, I'm just saying, I think, yeah, maybe people were staying home, drinking during the day and having babies. Like, yeah, like I don't doubt that things, but I think that as a society, we need to rethink the way we educate our children. Like, we are not supposed to be a white picket fence captivity. Like, we are in captivity. And we are mating in captivity, and we are trying to mix all of these different people with all of these different religions and all of these different priorities, and you're forcing them to try to follow the same rules and be led by the same government. And we really, I think, if we're going to survive as this great American experiment, we need to get back to and I want to be very delicate with the way I say this, but letting people find communities where they can have, like, their kids can run, and like kids need to be outside, feral, you know what I mean? Like, in neighborhoods and exploring. And I think everyone's on their devices at home. And I fear in 10 years, everyone's gonna be walking around with virtual reality goggles.
Already happening.
They're going to stop, like, you talk about not needing men, like, we're going to stop needing human interaction. There's going to be a robot that will
already happening.
Yeah.
AI girlfriends and boyfriends are already here and super popular. And I don't know where you are, Sarah, but where I am, they're already wearing the goggles. That's already happening where I am.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think we're going to have total economic catastrophe if we don't stop printing money. Like, I think we've got some really big problems that, like, the border, the reason people are coming here is supply and demand, right? Like, no one wants to really solve the border.
Of course.
Right. And so,
yes. Why would you solve the border when I can run my campaign on it? I don't want to solve that problem.
Well, and when your donors get great cheap labor, right? It's a whole nother
100%.
So I don't know. I just think that we need to be having bigger conversations than just Republicans, just Democrats. Like, I want people to think way bigger, right? Like, let's rethink everything and not take anything for granted, because we don't have time to just sit around and wait to try to figure something out, because before we know it, it's going to be another 8 years gone by, right? And
true.
So
you're not wrong.
Well,
so here's what go ahead, Danielle.
Oh, sorry. Well, to Sarah's point about we need to stop printing money. I mean, look no further. They're soon trying to get the dollar centralized, and we're going to be having our money online, kind of like Bitcoin. The Bank of England.
Digital, CBDC, central bank digital currency. Yep.
They're already in talks with MIT up here. So they're already working on that to find a way where there will be no more money and everything will be directly online, a USD currency online, just like that. So that's just a way to like kind of control.
You just reboot everything. The dollar, we have no debt. Why? Because I have nuclear weapons. So we now have no debt. Done.
Don't worry about it. BRICS is going to crush the dollar anyway. So I don't even know why we're even talking about the dollar's not even going to be a word we know in the next 10 years.
No.
I like that. Well, I do want to grab some more comments, but before I do, Scottie, tell everybody who's watching what you're doing. What's going on? Tell us what's going on. How do we find you? What's going on?
What am I doing today? Okay, so I host a great show called The 360 View. It's on Sovereign Media. It's a partnership. You know, if you're a libertarian, then you know the name Ben Swan. It is his media group that he does. So it's a lot of libertarians, good voices that are on there. Laura Loomer, Ben Swan. I even had just last week had why did I just forget his name? Interview him. He'd kill me if the Alex Jones. That's who I talked to last week. So I give a 360 view on all of these issues and try to show the perspective, because like this conversation's happening right here, the American people deserve to have, and not only the American people, the international community absolutely deserves to have a full picture of what's going on in America and not just what the politicians tell them Americans are thinking. Absolutely. Sarah, tell everybody what you're doing. Where can they find you? What are you doing?
I'm laying low in West Texas, running for district attorney.
That's not laying low. Running for office is laying low. That's not laying low. Well,
it's laying low compared to statewide office and what I've been trying to do, right? So these days, I don't really need money, or if you want to come door knock with me, that would be great.
She needs money. Don't listen to this crazy woman. She needs money. She does. Yes.
No. In fact, filing your ethics report, and I love the grassroots help. And when people give $5, every bit counts. But when I have to enter them all into an ethics report, and at this point, it's almost like I'd rather just not enter it.
I'm always saying raise money.
If you would like to donate $100,000, but that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to spread the message.
All right, so we got to get a bus. And we got to drive on down to Texas so we can give our volunteers, because she doesn't want money. So fine, we'll do a door knocking day. We'll do that instead. I love it. There we go. I love it. Daniella, tell everybody what you're doing.
So I thought I was going to be laying low, but I'm actually going to be running for public advocate for 2020 New York. Yes. So, but
you doing a Republican ticket?
Yes.
Nice.
Just because we got to get Jumaane Williams out. So
I know Jumaane. I think I'm going to be very I may be running for mayor next year. I'm actually considering a mayoral run. I'm actually considering it. I am.
I think so.
Jumaane, I know Jumaane. I think his heart's actually in the right spot. I just think he's really wrong. I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't think he is. It's like I was teasing Scottie about Jimmy Carter. I don't want Jimmy Carter to be my president, but my grandpa, yeah. I would love him to be my grandpa. Like, he's a great guy. Guy builds houses. He's he's the best ex-president ever, right? Mm-hmm. He's the best ex-president ever.
In fact, Obama should follow his accord and go do some Habitat for Humanity, please.
That would be nice. I wish Obama would. Yes. Why doesn't Obama go teach midnight basketball or something? Do that. He likes basketball. Do that. He's always playing. So do that instead. I completely agree. Mm-hmm. So I think Jumaane's that way. I actually like him as a person.
Right.
I just think he's wrong. I think he's a good guy, but good for you.
I feel the same.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
We are rocking and rolling, everybody. This is awesome. Let me grab a couple more comments if I could. You guys keep popping around. Roy says, sorry, he goes, Mayor Sharpe. That's very good. Mm-hmm. Joel says, Obama is busy with his third term. Well, that's cute.
Things on Biden.
That is cute. That is cute. Karen says, the border crisis is future broken promises just brewing to explode. Yeah. I mean, everyone promises to fix it and no one does. I think, Sarah, you're right. No one actually fixes this thing.
Well, you can't. You have to go like supply and demand. You have to fix what's happening in Venezuela and all of South America and Central America, and why they would rather, worry about drowning or getting cut up with razor wire or raped on the way through, because it's better than where they're coming from. Like,
I agree.
You have to get people's heads to understand, like, you don't do that because it's fun, right?
So Daniella has scared everyone. He says, Scott says Skynet is real. Yes, that's going to happen one day. When the AI becomes sentient, then we're finished. So yes. Juan, this mail thing, boy, did I get people riled with this one. Sarah, this is your fault. Just got this riled. He says, I think a significant problem in our culture today is too often that men are seen as the enemy and not as a potential ally. Of course, the government is the major cause of perception. I think there's something true to that, but I wouldn't just go men. I would say that someone who is not of the group that's trying to do well, whatever that group might be, is often not seen as an ally. It's seen as the enemy, right? So if I'm straight and someone's gay, they don't look at me as an ally. They go, oh, well, you're straight because you're the enemy. Well, no, I could be an ally to gay people. Right. Can I be an ally? Right? Or whatever, right? If women and I'm a man, oh, I want to be an ally. No, you're the enemy. Oh, no, I could be an ally. I think when in today's world, we divide a lot so that if you're not the thing, you are by default the enemy. And I think the biggest example is, I'm gonna get in trouble with this, but I'm gonna say it, is LGBTQ plus, right? That. Why does every one of them have to be mentioned? Why? Because if you're not mentioned, you're the enemy. That's why. The rainbow flag was a flag for everyone. Didn't matter if you were gay or straight. It was like, we're all the same. We're all together. But once you started changing that, now it became each one. You have to now name everyone. Libertarians some libertarians, I'm one of them, don't use the LGBT. I use GSM, which is gender and sexual minorities. That is an inclusive term that now everybody's together. And it's just gender and sexual minorities. And now we can all be together. But the LGBT, now you have to add 2A and blah, blah, blah. And you got to put more on it. I'm like, so if I'm not there, so I think Juan is correct, but not only for the male thing. I think our society has said, if you're not the thing, then you're the enemy. Am I wrong on this? You're laughing, Scottie. Am I wrong?
Well, no, I'm just staring back and thinking in the last election, the only demographic which actually grew in number in the Republican Party was actually the gay men, Republican men. Actually, yes. The only demographic that actually grew in number. Everybody else either decreased or stayed the same. And if you talk log cabin Republicans, it's continued to grow in multiple chapters across the country. But one of the biggest things with them, two things that I keep telling folks. Number one, they're the most pro-life, solid pro-life, because if anybody wants to have children and they can't, they tell me they value it even more, the idea of life and the ability to have a baby. They value it more, so they want to protect the right to, they want to protect that baby's life, number one. Number two, if anybody's going to fight back, there is nobody that's more disgusted by the pedophilia, by transgender, any of the negative side, the transgender, I don't know the right word, but all of the bad things that go along with it, the anti-family values, all of the disgusting side of I don't even know the right words at this stage, but they're the only ones that can fight them. Gay men are the best way to fight the pedophilia groups that are trying to infiltrate. They hate the fact that they're grouped in with transgenders because they see the
I see that often, tell you the truth. I do.
Yes, and they don't want that. They hate that is the number one argument they want. They let them fight that battle. They're our best defenses of conservatives to fight any sort of that twisted perversion. That's the word. The perversion that exists within the transgender communities. The gay men are the strongest ones to fight that and to put it in its place where it belongs, which is not in our society.
Sarah, what do you think about what I said? Do you think that we are too divvied up and we can't have allies anymore?
I mean, I think fear and anger are incredible human motivators. And so people that understand that message that. And so I think that they instill fear and anger within groups against people that they feel, I guess, attacked by. But I also think that we've encouraged people to be less accepting. And again, if you're a consenting adult, I want you to be able to do what you want to do. And if you're not hurting anybody else. And with
so
another,
you're an ally.
Yeah, I think I'm a huge ally, but I also think that I still have a lot to learn, you know. I mean, like, especially on race, like being raised in the South, you know. And I remember being in high school and thinking it was okay to say that I thought I was colorblind, you know. And then thankfully I've got friends over the years that are like, okay, Sarah, well, when you tell me that you can't tell that I look different, because obviously I look different. And I'm like, well, yeah, but we don't care. And I'm like, well, then that's not being colorblind, right? And it's explaining, I think, good intentions a lot of times. But if you're not getting outside of, if you're not meeting people that haven't come from somewhere other than where you've been born and raised, there's no perception there. And I've lived all over, and I've been all over the world, and I've had the ability to meet people. And I think, unfortunately, so many Americans haven't had that. And they really just need to go outside, touch grass in other places, and realize that the things that we're stressing over are really luxuries to be able to be stressing over. And we're not stressing over the right things. Like, we have the 37th cleanest drinking water in the world. The United States. There are 36 states in the world whose drinking water is cleaner than the United States. Like,
no. The United States is collapsing in many ways. Our education is collapsing, infrastructure is collapsing, medical is collapsing. Yes. And here's what I would argue as libertarian: everything that's collapsing is running by government. Every single thing that's collapsing is run by government. Yeah. That's my libertarian pitch. Daniella, can we be allies or no?
We can be allies, but the thing is, divide and conquer. That's how you keep people separate, right?
Yes.
You know, you tell them they hate this, and then they're gonna vote for the opposite because they don't like A, so they'll vote B. So that's how they keep the status quo: divide and conquer.
There we go.
Right? No, I think everyone should be able to, you know, come together and try to make things work. And as to Sarah's point, a lot of people haven't left even the state or even where they live to even see those other perspectives and see those other people. So they don't have that open-mindedness and to, you know, take in new ideas and understand how other people, other nationalities, other ethnic groups, see how they think, how their process is, why they think the way.
There are people in New York City who've never been to the Bronx.
Okay.
I'm not joking. That's a real thing.
That's a real thing.
Yes. They've never been to Staten Island, ever.
The Bronx and Staten Island?
Yes, it's crazy. So anyway, guys, let me talk to my audience real fast. As I said, if you like this conversation and some of you tell me you're liking it, then click the like button. It does matter. If you don't click the like button, you are telling me you don't want to be an ally and you are a bad person. And I'm going to put you on a bus and force you to go see Sarah. It doesn't matter. You're going to door knock for her if you don't click that like button. Damn it. Do it. If you happen to be watching on Twitter, please retweet this. It is important to retweet it. Every time you do it, makes everything better. If you want your chat to go to the front, you support the show by super chatting. If you are watching on YouTube, and if you're on YouTube and you're watching and you are not subscribed, you are a thief. You are stealing this if you don't subscribe. You are literally a bad human being if you have not subscribed here on YouTube. So subscribe, damn you. Do it. It's important. Absolutely do that. And of course, no matter what, please follow these lovely people. They have come here this evening to give us a wonderful conversation. All the details are in both Facebook and on YouTube. And you can check out what they're doing. Follow them on Twitter. It's right there. Please do it. Just click that follow. I know I'm asking for money. I'm asking for clicks. Okay, fine. I'll ask for money too. Become a member, damn you. If you don't want to do any of these things, then give me money. You have two choices. Click something or give me money or you're a thief. That's it. One or the other. Click something or give me money. But you pick the one. You don't want to click to join and give me $49 a month. Well, click something. It's easy. I'm not that bad. Did I miss anything, guys? Scottie, what do you want to do for us wrapping it up? Anything I should wrap it up with?
No, you've covered it all.
Awesome.
Let me say this. Say my final comment that I had text to me. That's what I was reading through all of this. That says good conversation, but more importantly, he says also 1971 Nixon ended the gold standard. After that, we were all screwed.
100% true. Yes. Wow. Nicely done. That person's very smart. Nice.
I think so. I'm kind of biased towards him though. It is my.
There we go. There we go. Your husband's smart. I like it. Good. Sarah, anything?
No, I just think thanks for having me. And I think it was a great show. And I just encourage people to have uncomfortable conversations more often.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Danielle, anything?
No, I think we should do this again.
There we go. I love it.
Cheers.
Everybody watching,
Right.
do me a favor. Once this show is over, come back afterwards and put a comment. YouTube loves that and allows the algorithm to keep kicking. So once this show's over and you're off doing something else, and you watch something else on YouTube, whatever it is, once that video's over, come back here, click comment. Guys, we'll say thank you for everybody. I will be on my show tomorrow, 1 p.m. I'll be doing my WYSL radio show tomorrow, 1 p.m. live. You can call in if you want to. I'll be yapping about something, New York. I will see you all